Welcome back, everybody. This is the Me, Myself, and I playthrough of Unconditional Surrender's main event scenario. Game is published by GMT Games, designed by Salvatore Vasta. We are getting ready to conclude the October turn with the beginning with the Western Operations phase. One of the first things the British are going to do is go after the Italians in North Africa. So they're going to activate the BEF for 2 production points. I don't know where to put them. Wherever I do, they're not going to be in the right place. And we're going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 into the swamp, and then it's 8, 9, 10 to attack El Algehalia. But we're going to actually call that an assault, since I only get 1 attack anyway. And that's so that I can do some other things before I finish everything off. I'm going to activate the armored unit as well, and it is going to do something similar. It is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down the road, and then it costs 7, 8, 9 to get to attack Benghazi, so they're going to call that an assault as well. I remember how to turn these. He's going to officially call that an assault. And the reason why I'm doing that is I don't want to resolve these assaults right away, because what I want to do is I want to move this airplane 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up the coast road and take a sortie. And I'm going to move the other airplane up the coast road and take a sortie, so that they'll be in position in the future. Now I can resolve my assaults. I'm going to resolve the one against Benghazi first, because I've made him isolated by moving the BEF where I did. So we start off. We are +1 for British. It is an armored unit, so we get +2 for the armor. We get +2 because the man is isolated now, because I've cut off all his retreat routes and he's not adjacent to anything. And then I can throw in an airplane for another 2. The Italians start off at -2 because they're a garrison, and then another -2 because of their low supply. And then also on the British, I forgot, I have to take 1 off because I'm attacking a city. So it's +6 to -4. A 6 + 6 is a 12. If you look at the combat results table, a 12, he's got to suffer at least a DR, maybe something else. But since he's only a garrison unit, he has to take a step no matter what he does. And he only has 1 step to take, so he is eliminated. They don't lose. Let's get rid of this counter here. Oh boy, Control D, there we go. Put the assault marker down there. And then I will take the hex. Come on now, place control marker. And what that does is on the Italian national track, that's 1 will for the city. They don't lose a will for garrison unit, but I did take the hex, which means the fleets must go away. So I'm just going to stack them up together and move them up here, and we're just going to go ahead and go into Brindisi. And that means they each have to take a sortie. I'm going to put them out here at C, so I don't forget that I have them to deal with. And we got to give them each a sortie for having to be pushed out of their port. And then we'll do the other assault down here against El Algehalia. We will also throw in an airplane there. So that airplane will go there. And we also will play one of our tanks markers, because he's not an armored unit. He's just mobile infantry. And we end up with not quite as good of odds this time. +1 for British, +2 for the armored, +2 for the aircraft, -1 for attacking the city. And he starts off at -2. Oh, not -6, -2. So we'll see if this one works. +4 to -2. 4 + 4 is an 8. At a -2, you will at least be retreated. 2 - 2 is a 0, I believe. On an 8, yeah, that's a DD. So, a DD, he has to lose a step. He doesn't have a step to lose, so he loses that. I will take the hex, place some control marker, the assault marker off to the side. And once again, he doesn't lose a morale for the unit, but he does lose a morale for losing the overseas city. So he's down to 7. So the British are rolling across North Africa. And then we have to put the tanks back on the turn track for next turn for the British. And that's pretty much the UK in North Africa. We can't really do much else. However, I was toying with the idea of going ahead and trying to attack Brest since I have clear weather. But I don't know if I can pull it off because I have to do a bunch of fancy ship maneuvering. And the Germans do have, let me see. Germans still have their surface action marker. And I only have 4 sorties on this convoy up here. So I'd have to move it down to Plymouth. Probably take Force H out, put it in Cardiff. Do this other fleet and thing move. And just, it seems like it'd be far more complicated than what I to possibly get Brest, and then he would probably get an attack back. It's just, it seems like it's a little too soon to try and breach into Europe. So I'm going to wait until I clean up my sorties, but I am going to have the Americans activate the task force here, and then the fleet with the convoy will take this thing. They can go directly into Sea Zone 16. So Torch is coming a month early as we slide down to Sea Zone 16 and drop. I just go ahead and put them here because it's an automatic success, and I get to move 1 hex inland. So this, it's not Soviet, comes Allied control, and then these guys, that was 1 down here. They don't have to end their, so that's 1 sortie each, and then but they're going to immediately pick themselves up. The convoy is, and it's going to move back. Moving north again. I need to set up some jump keys of some sort. So they move 3 back into here, and then 3 into here. So they will have 2 sorties when they get here. And there's the fleet. The fleet will have 1 sortie, maybe, if I can find the keys. So he'll have 1 sortie and be in Casablanca. We're going to go ahead and take 2nd convoy and the 9th Air Force. They'll all move together. The Air Force activates. And they're going to go 3 and then 1 into Sea Zone 16, if I can get down to Sea Zone 16. Sometimes I don't think this is... Excuse me. So 3 into here. I'm going to unzoom the map to try and make my scrolling a little bit easier. And then he is going to go into this sea zone for 4 and then land at Casablanca. And they each take a sortie. So I'm going to put the fleet out there. I'm going to put the convoy over here and put the airplane in there. So the airplane gets a sortie. The convoy gets a sortie. And there we go. So we're starting to do the invasion of North Africa. The British are rolling up Italian Libya. Things are just not looking good for the Axis in any way, shape, or form here in the Med. Probably played it badly as the Axis, but best I could think of at the time. And that finishes the Americans. We're not going to try this assault on Brest. Oh, I had to play... Where's my faction card? Sorry. Forgot to put it out. This surprise attack marker would have been played in C-Zone 16. Or in a hex on the edge of it, somewhere in North Africa. I always put it in the C-Zone so people know that it's a C-Zone one rather than a hex to radiate two spaces from. That's just me. By rule, you're supposed to actually put it in a hex somewhere. And then that's the end of that. The Americans have to take 2 sorties to supply their aircraft and their infantry. The British have to go do their supply over here. I suppose I should get that out of my way, huh? I'm going to zoom back in so you can see the counters. I have 4 units I need to keep in supply for sure. So I'm going to put 2 here. And I'm going to put 2 here. And the other 2 will draw out of Cairo or Jerusalem. And stay at low supply. So that way I'll be able to replace my airplanes here and get them back up to snuff so that we can run across Libya one more time. So that is the Western operations phase. I don't really have anything. Oh, no, it's not. Well, it's... Wait a minute. He's -1. And I'm -4. Oh, there's a chance I can get through. We're going to have the bomber run a bombing run to Dusseldorf. Germans will intercept, so the Germans are a net of -1. I'm at a -4. +1 for... a -2 for being a bomber. +1 because I'm British. So that starts off at a -1 and then -3 more for sorties. That's why I'm at a -4. So best I can roll is a 2 is the British. We just got to hope the Germans roll low. And the Germans rolled low. A 1 is... as low as they can roll. Whoops, wrong thing. Where's the turn track? So I get to go grab a bombed marker and place it on Dusseldorf. Yay me. And then we each take a sortie for that. Let's see, he'd be -2. I'm not sure I want to run any more. I got an extra +1. That'll make me even with him next turn. +3 to +3. I think I'll just go with that so I can try and get my sorties down on this thing. Because I'll have poor weather next turn. Because November can't be the same as October. So poor weather bombers tend to get through, which seems opposite of what you would think. But okay, the British are done. And we go on to the Soviets operations. Soviets are in a bit of a quandary. They're down to 10 will points. They have to survive November, which could possibly be clear, which might spell their doom. And then December with either poor or severe weather. Severe is better because it only makes you retreat, so maybe you can hang on. So I'm going to try to recapture a city, actually 2 cities. So this is how we're going to try and do this. First thing we're going to do is on the faction card, we're going to grab the partisans marker and bring it out, and we're going to drop it on this infantry guy up here, the Nor infantry. That makes him -2, so his +2 goes away. And we're fighting in, double checking the weather, we're fighting in poor weather, so the 40th activates. Is that the 40th? I can't. No, 46th, sorry. Goes 1 across the river because it's a rail line, then 2-3 into 1448, and then it's 2 for the hex, 2 for the unit, and 1 for the river. So it's 5 more, and I spent 3 to get here. So that's 0, and I get to mark this as an assault. And I am going to just go ahead and resolve it right away. And then the 62nd here in Bologna is going to move 2, 4 into 1549. And then it's 4 to attack the hex. So he's in there. And then the 14th will add in as well. So that was 3 production points out of my 26. And that's... Okay, we start off as 0 because we're Russian. And then I get... 62nd is the primary. And then I get +1 for each of my buddies. And then it's -1 for the hex and -1 for weather. So I'm a 0. The Germans would normally start off at +2, but then the partisans make them -2. So they're a 0. So it's a 0 to 0. I'm just trying to get a DR so I can take the city back. See if it works. Russians roll a 4. 4 is a 4. And the Germans roll a 3. 4 to a 3. The Germans don't move. So that's unfortunate for the Russians. But there wasn't a lot else I could do there. The other attack I'm going to do is the 3rd Tank Army. Activates for 2. The shock activates for 1. So this is 3 more. So now I'm down to 20. And we start off here. Because it's poor weather, the tank is actually a +1 because it's armor. And then I add in the shock. He gets to add 2 because in poor weather, shock is like an armored unit being added in. So it's +2. So I have a total of +3. And then the German is +2. And then I have an airplane here in Kalinin that I can use that can't be intercepted. So I'm going to use that. That gives me a +4. Then I have to take off 1 for the weather and 1 for the city. So I'm at a +2 to a +2. And I'm, like I said, I'm just trying to get a retreat to take a city back here and see if it works. So the Russians roll. Gee, a 2 + 2 is a 4. The Germans, the lowest they can roll is a 3, so they're going to stop me. 4 to a 4. So that didn't work either. I will move. Geez, what do I want to do? I could play dancing shock armies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, and this guy could go 1, 2, 3, 4 to be in line to try and do an assault next turn against the city up north. So I think I'm going to it's such a stretch sometimes. Got to check what I got to check see what I can build here. I need to save 12 for my airplanes. 13, 14. Maybe want to build an armored. 15, 16. What am I at? I'm at 20. So I really can only spend about 4 more to move things. So I could move this shock. Yeah, I think I'm going to move this shock. 3, 4, 5, 6 into Bologoya. Then I'm going to move this infantry unit 1, 2, 3 down the rail line. So that's 2 more that I just spent. So now I'm down to 18. And then I was thinking I probably need to move this shock army. Oh, that's right. I had something I could do down here. I don't move that shock army. I could try to isolate the 18th, but I don't know that at +2, -1. No, that's not going to work. Not a good thing to do. We're going to move this shock army. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I could move them all the way to Stalingrad, which is one of the big cities down here. And then I could move this infantry down into the swamp here. So I said I got like 2 points that I can play with, or I could build another armored unit. I think I want to clear out these 2 cities somewhat. I'm going to move the shock army. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ooh. Now we're going to move the shock army to here. That's 1. And we are going to move the guy in Stalingrad out. Simply because I want to build an infantry army there. Or maybe an armored unit, I'm not sure which. So I think I'm going to move him 1, 2, 3, 4. Put him in good terrain and kind of cut off where he can go. Germans can't really break through and capture lots of cities as long as I have some of these units out there. But I don't want to give them too many units either, because that might make the difference as well. Now let me build something in Stalingrad and the other thing. So that's the 2 more I could spend. And that's going to be the Russian operations phase. Everything is in supply, I believe. I don't think I left anything unsupplied. So that's the Russian operations phase. Boom. So we go on to, end of operations phase. I had to do something for the Russians. Where is it? Let's zoom out a little bit. There he is, the partisans marker. We have to roll for him and put him on the turn track. So we roll to see, and of course I get 6 for the partisans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Won't see them till April. Ouch, that's going to hurt a bit. Don't know if it was the right thing to do, but it seemed like if I could take that city back, that I might be able to hold easier. We'll have to see how bad this is, especially if we get clear weather next turn. Okay, there is nobody with a no supply marker on them, so we don't have to worry about that. Replacements for the Axis. They had, what did they have, 13? What do they have? They have 13. So do they have somebody that's flipped somewhere? I'm trying to figure out why I saved 13, if I had like a flipped infantry or something. Thought maybe I might have a flipped infantry somewhere. But I'm not seeing it, I'm just seeing garrisons. Maybe it's in the east? Let's go check around the east. We'll clear all this so we can see stuff. Do I have any flipped German infantry? Well, that's the 7th garrison. I don't see any flipped German infantry. I have no idea why I saved that point and I didn't spend it on something. Beats the heck out of me. Anyway, I'm going to spend the 12. Oh boy. I'm going to suffer some bombing here. Well, I've got a... Hello. 10, 11, 12. I'll spend 12 in the east, clearing up my airplanes. So this guy comes down too. This guy comes down too. This guy comes down too. And there's an airplane down here that comes down too. And I have an extra point, and I cannot for the life of me figure out what I'm going to spend it on. Do I have something in my faction card? No, I have 2 pointers there, so I can't afford to buy them yet. So, no, I don't know why I saved a point. If I stumble across a flipped infantry unit somewhere, I'll just flip him, knowing that I was able to do it. So, and then we have to go do the Italians with their 12. They'll go ahead and clear their airplane for 3. Take clear this convoy, and we'll do this fleet. So that's 10 out of 12. And I do have something to build, so that's why I'm saving at least 1 point to build my infantry unit back. And that's the Italians. Now we get to do the West. Go do the simple ones first. Go up here. This guy, it goes away. Hello. This guy comes down to. It's just so nice to play the Americans when you just do stuff. Oh, surprise attack marker had to go back in the faction card. Sorry about that. This guy comes down to, and the fleet clears. And the aircraft comes down to. Okay, now I have to actually pay for British ones. So we're going to go over here. Definitely want to get my airplanes. So that's 6. 12. So that leaves me with 8 left. If I could learn how to count. Which means I can like clear 2 4-point fleets. I'm thinking I'm going to clear the bomber down. That's 4. And do I want to clear the convoy or the fleet down here? I think I'm going to go ahead and clear this down too, just to use up all my points, because I don't have anything to build with the British at this point. Okay. That's West replacement. Soviets are definitely going to spend 12 on their airplanes. Take that down. Okay. Let's go back over to the Soviets and clear up their airplanes. Let's see, they got one here. They got one back here. They got one here. And they got one here. And then they're going to save the... Oh, and then they're going to spend 1 to bring the shock army up. Control. Hello. Okay, I guess that's that. So that was 13 I spent. Got 3 left to build things with. Okay, that's replacements. I don't think anybody had any upgrades in their boxes. Nope, nobody's got upgrades at this point. Oops, mobilization axis. The Italians did have a point to spend. Actually had 2, but they're going to spend 1 to bring on their infantry down here somewhere. I don't know where I'm going to put it. I think I'm going to put it in Rome. Yeah, I'll put it in Rome. And the Western mobilization, the Americans immediately go and buy their surprise target marker back. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they'll get it in February. And then we go to Soviets. They have 3 to spend. So it's either 2 infantry and waste a point or an infantry and an armor. Let's go look at their map and see where we want to put things. Ding, 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 ding. Where do we put the armies? I need to put something in Stalingrad. An armored unit would be -2 +1 for armor. So that's probably not a good thing to put there. I want to have at least a straight infantry there. Let's see. I'll go ahead and put an armored here. And we'll put an infantry there. That's my 3 points. that I had left for the Russians. So that should end the mobilization phase. Nobody's going to have diplomacy because we're still fighting. They haven't conquered Germany yet, so that's not going to happen either. We go to end of turn phase and pull up the turn track. And let's go down. So the Germans get back their tanks marker. Oh, I should have thrown in the Italian tanks on one of those attacks. I totally forgot I had Italian tanks. Okay. And of course the Russians get back their 3 tank markers, which makes them very happy. And the most important thing for the Russians is that their Urals factories now goes up to 9 because they have the counter. However, the counter does not advance 2 turns because it's no longer... once you get to 9, you can't go any higher. And then the Russians also got a heavy artillery. And they have a shock unit that goes into mobilization. Flip him. And they get a guards unit that goes into their upgrade box. And this infantry moves down here. And on the Italian side, they get their 2 militias come down. And we go into November. And there we have it. That was October of 1942. The Western Soviet turns. Nothing spectacular happened. The Russians are hanging on by their fingernails, trying to see what's going to happen to them based on the weather. If the Germans get a clear weather turn, they might be able to collapse Russia. It's really going to come down to a weather die roll here. It's very, very close. So, you've been watching Unconditional Surrender, the Me, Myself, and I playthrough of the main event scenario. I'm Dren608. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the video so you don't miss any future episodes. Please leave me comments. I need to know what you like, what you don't. If you see any errors, please let me know because I don't think I made any, but you never know. Extra eyes are always good. And we will commence with the November 1942 turn in the next episode. Bye-bye.